All right, side raises, AKA lateral raise. How should you do them? Should you come out to your sides? Should you come higher? You see people doing both. So I'm not gonna tell you one is better than the other. I'm just gonna give you some food for thought, things to think about, as well as a really simple test that you can do. So let's start with that. So I'm gonna turn my back to you here. Reach over my shoulder, and what I'm feeling for is my scapula. What I want you to do, pretend to do a side raise very slowly. I want you to feel that point where all of a sudden this scapula starts to move. So for me, it doesn't move here, here, not until about here. So why is that important? Well, that's a bit of the handoff point in the relay race between the deltoids primarily doing the work and your trapezius starting to do the work. If we're doing a compound movement like a shoulder press, well, then you're going to get a lot of movement of the shoulder girdle, meaning your scapula and also your clavicle. And that's cool because it's a compound movement. That's the nature of it. We're working all those muscles there. But when we're doing a side raise, that's supposed to be an isolation exercise. And the goal is to specifically work the deltoids. If we're doing our side raises all the way up here, thinking that we have to do full range of motion, well, keep in mind there's a difference between full range of motion of the joint versus full range of motion of the muscle. For example, this is full range of motion of the joint, but for the deltoid, keep in mind, we're gonna use this piece of band, pretend this is a muscle, and as the muscle contracts, it shortens, bringing point A closer to point B. So point A, point B, as it shortens, lifting your arm up. But that's about it, right to about there. Any movement beyond that, like we're doing with the shoulder press, is gonna come from movement of that shoulder girdle. So if we wanna really target those delts, we only need to come to about here. Anything more than that is not gonna give you a better contraction in those deltoids. It's not gonna build wider shoulders. So you don't need to. You can if you want to, but don't feel like you need to. There is one thing that you should keep in mind. If you feel any kind of discomfort here on the outside of the shoulder, that's typically caused by irritation in a tendon from one of our rotator cuff muscles that gets pinched in between there. You can see as we lift that upper arm bone how this gap in here starts to close. So we're all built just a little bit different. Some people it bothers them, some people it doesn't. Let your common sense or better judgment be your guide. If you feel discomfort, then adjust your style. There's a couple of simple things to consider. There is no right or wrong answer because again, we're all built a little different. What works for me might not work for another person. So the best thing is you got to figure out what works for you. But there are a couple things to consider of what's going on underneath the skin when we're doing some of these exercises.